Welcome to our science lessons for science beginners. Today we are going to cover an introduction to science. Introduction to science. Introduction to science. So let's go on to the objectives of this lesson. The first objective is to describe or to define science. To describe what's science. Then the second objective is to describe the differences between living things and non-living things. To describe the differences between living things and non-living things. The third objective in this lesson is to identify the different fields or branches of science. To identify the different fields or branches of science. The fourth objective is to describe the importance of science to an individual. To describe the importance of science to an individual. And lastly, the last objective is to describe the importance of science to a nation. To describe the importance of science to a nation. So what is science? Okay, science basically is a very broad field of study which covers a lot of things. But basically science encompasses the study of living things and non-living things, including their surroundings. So science explains what happens to living things and their environment. It explains everything around the world. How do plants and animals survive? How do objects move? How do objects fall? How do sound travel? All those things are addressed in science. So if science focuses on living things and non-living things, we should be able to describe the differences between the living things and the non-living things. So basically, living things are characterized by some features, like they can move, they can feed, they can grow, and they can reproduce. On the other hand, you realize that non-living things, they cannot move, they cannot feed, they cannot grow, and they cannot reproduce. So what are the examples of these living things and these non-living things? Okay, for living things, animals, including humans, they are living things. Plants, they are living things. Aquatic organisms like fish, they are living things. Insects, they are living things. Microorganisms, they are living things. Then the non-living things, we can mention materials such as cloth, man-made, rocks, water, cooked food, and even the utensils that we use in our homes every day. They are non-living. So, since we said science is a very broad field of study, it has some subfields or some branches. So, the common fields of science, or the common branches of science, are biology, chemistry, and physics. Biology, chemistry, and physics. So let's describe each of these subfields of science. We'll start with biology. Biology is basically concerned with the study of living organisms. Biology is concerned with the study of living organisms. So it focuses on what happens to the plants, what happens to the animals, how do they feed, how do they reproduce, how do they grow. That is biology. Okay, biology can also be subdivided into some fields, like the study of plants is called botany, study of plants, botany. Then the study of animals is called zoology. Then the study of microorganisms is called microbiology. Microorganisms are studied under microbiology. The next subfield of science is chemistry. Well, chemistry is an interesting one. It is concerned with the study of matter, the study of all materials, specifically the composition and the structure of that matter. It is concerned with the composition and the structure of matter. So it looks at the chemical composition and the chemical structure of different materials. It also looks at the interaction and the changes that occur within different materials. Okay, chemistry also has some subfields. It has some branches. So we have branches of chemistry such as organic chemistry, which is concerned with the study of organic compounds. We also have inorganic chemistry, which is concerned with the study of inorganic compounds. We also have physical chemistry, analytical chemistry, industrial chemistry. We go on to physics. Is another subfield of science which focuses on the study of materials, their motion, and their behavior through space. The study of material and the behavior of those materials. Physics also focuses on energy and force. It also focuses on energy and force. The subfields of physics includes mechanics, atomic physics, nuclear physics, geophysics, biophysics, acoustics. So, what are the importance of studying science? Is it just a matter of studying without any value out of it? So, we shall look at the importance of science, the importance of studying science to an individual. So, to you as an individual, you get to understand your surroundings. You get to know what is it that is around me. What is occurring around you, you get to understand. You also acquire knowledge and skills. You acquire a lot of knowledge and skills. Also, as an individual, you are prepared for your future career. You are prepared for a career in the field of science. Then to the nation. How do a nation benefit from science, from the start of science? How does it benefit? So basically, it's like to the individual, science will provide personnel who are skilled personnel, the scientists. Those scientists will bring about innovations. They will bring about development. They introduce new products, new services in a nation. And also, the same people will help in the modernization of different aspects of human life. Modernization of the communication systems in a country. Modernization of the transport systems in a country. The health systems in a country. The education systems in a country. Okay, let's move on to a summary of what we have been discussing. So at the beginning we defined science. We described science as the study of living and non-living things, including the environment. That was the first aspect. Then we go on to identify the different living and non-living things, those ones you know. Then we moved on to the different branches or the different fields of science. We mentioned biology and the subfields under biology. We mentioned chemistry and the subfields under chemistry. We also mentioned physics and the subfields under physics. Then lastly, we discussed about the importance of studying science. We looked at the importance of science to an individual. We also looked at the importance of science to a nation. Okay, let's have a few questions from what we have been discussing. So the first question is, what do you understand by the term science? What do you understand by the term science? That's our first question. Our second question is, what are the main differences between living things and non-living things? What are the main differences between living things and non-living things? We go on to the third question. Name and 2 examples of non-living things. Name and 2 examples of non-living things. Please don't mention the ones that we mentioned during the lesson. We go on to the fourth question. Identify the different fields or branches of science. Identify the different fields or branches of science. Then the last question is, what are the benefits of studying science to a community? What are the benefits of science to a community? What are the benefits of science to a community? Thank you for watching. Asanteni sana, tinotenda siawu. See you in our next lesson.